Precipitate.
Daniel Bryan versus Kane for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Kind of a bland match, I would say, but there were some spots that were kind of interesting. I liked that part with
Bland?
yeah,
How on earth could you use the term bland in a match that has a flaming table?
because
And a fucking forklift.
What
outside of those
the?
two spots, there wasn't really anything else to the match.
Oh yeah, like when he threw the giant CO2 tank into the windshield of the car. Yeah, that happens every fucking week.
I didn't think that was impressive.
See you do it.
It was throw something, okay? Give me one, I'll throw it.
Fucking good argument there.
We're gonna start giving credit to people throwing things. But yeah, there outside of those spots, I didn't really enjoy that much of the match, but those spots really did make it that much better, and it ended up being one of the better matches of the night because of that. But you take those away, and it would have been a disappointment. Now they were cool, and I particularly liked the idea that he picked him up in the forklift and didn't just drag him out like towards the ring, and that's the end of the story. That he actually dumped him into the ring. That was the best part about that. And another good thing about that was he attacks him with, it was a crowbar or was it a tire iron? I can't remember now.
Tire iron.
I thought it was, okay, yeah. The tire iron, he hits him with that, and he's taken a while to figure out what to do. And normally WWE does that suspension of disbelief where he hits him like once or twice with the tire iron and he's out, and that's it. Now, granted, you get hit with a fucking tire iron, you could be dead, but in WWE logic, you should be up after a little while. And they made it a point where when he puts him on the forklift, he hits him a couple more times. That's like, okay, that makes sense now that he can have this time to like figure out how to maneuver driving the fucking forklift through and everything. And I loved in that section, the crowd isn't really going nuts for it because they're really still just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. So there's no real pop until he starts actually driving to the point where you see the arena, and then people are just like, "Oh, hey, it's us!" Like, but that was cool. The table spot with all the gasoline and the fire and all that was cool as well. But it really was kind of a shame that they had to have people set up immediately with the fire extinguishers. So it's like, Kane's through the table, and they're like, "All right, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, now so let's spray them." Like, those guys jumped right onto it. Safety first, obviously, had to do that, but it really kind of seemed like that was planned.
It almost seemed like they were more of an annoyance to Kane than the fire.
Right.
Like the way that he's like, God, fuck, get back in the ring. Oh, God. It's cold.
It's like, God damn it, let's just go back into the fire again. Get the fuck
God, stop spraying me! Oh.
Stop spraying me, or I'm going to toss it, and Peyton's going to be really impressed.
Yeah, the story. Storyline should be that fucking Kane was screwed by the WWE staff.
It's going to be like another event with the old NXT where they would do like the strength competitions. How far can you do a catapult of a CO2 extinguisher? All right. So, Sean, your thoughts on the main event of the night?
Worst fucking match of the year.
Really? That bad?
Yeah, I fucking hated it. Fucking awful. The only good part about it was when Kane threw the television into the water. That was it. That was it. It's the worst Daniel Bryan match I've ever seen. The worst Kane match I've ever seen. It was fucking awful. Don't like the chemistry between them. And if I have to go watch it for payback, I'm not going to watch it.
Ouch. Miguel.
You know what? The better man won. I foolishly made the mistake that Kane was going to win the title. I figured there was going to be a case where they might put the belt on Kane and have Bryan chase him up until SummerSlam, because truth be told, who do they have really that could fit into that slot going forward? But you know what? They wanted to send the fans home happy, and so the better man won.
Miguel.
Ah, shit, my fucking mic wouldn't mute. There we go. If you think that's one of the worst Kane match you've ever seen, Sean, don't go watch your stuff with The Undertaker, Jesus. I thought the match was awesome. This is a case where overbooking works, and it was just a lot of fun. My expectations for this was just going to be that it was absolutely going to be abysmal, and it was far from that. They told a really fun story, and Daniel Bryan dumping him into the ring with a forklift and doing the diving headbutt was freaking awesome. So I love this match start from finish, and I think the feud goes downhill from here.
Drew?
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was as good as the Evolution Shield match, but I still think it was a good way to close out the show. The forklift, enough said, I thought that was fantastic. And where Sean says that the chemistry between the two isn't good, I've always thought that they had good chemistry together. When they faced at SummerSlam a few years ago, I liked that match. I can't remember too many times they faced each other since then, but yeah, I wish they would. I don't know if they did on Raw, but I wish they would mention the whole Hell No thing a little bit, because I think it's somewhat relevant. I think it's somewhat relevant to their past.
I don't think that they did. They might have, but I didn't catch that.
I think they should. It does mean something to the storyline, because I remember when they broke up, they both said they wanted to be the WWE champion. And it makes sense to an extent now that they're feuding for the WWE Heavyweight Championship. I think it would be a fine way to add something to the feud besides for Brie screaming and Kane chasing. So, yeah.
Peyton?
I loved this match. This was a harken back to an Attitude Era hardcore match. As soon as I saw them going back towards the backstage area, I just got super excited. I was like, yes, show me what you got. And they started off battling around the gorilla position. Kane throws the TV into the water that you hear sparking for like the next 5 minutes. They're battling out of the cars. There's glass being shattered. And then he busts out the forklift, and he brings him out, and you said he dumps him off, but you also didn't mention how Daniel Bryan then climbs up to the top of the platform on the forklift and then jumps off for a flying headbutt off of it. The flaming table spot was awesome. I mean, it's a shame they had to rush the fire extinguishers. I actually saw them setting up before they even got the table set up. I was like, oh, fire extinguishers. Someone's probably going to go on fire. So it was ruined for me like 30 seconds before it even happened.
When you were watching them set up, were you like, I hope somebody throws one of them?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a fantastic match. I don't know if I want to see any more of them. It's got to be downhill, because I don't think they could possibly go uphill from here. And where do you go after a match like that? You can't have a regular match. I mean, that has been kind of WWE's logic. Like, let's have a Hell in a Cell match first, and then we'll just go to a singles match.
Yeah, the rumor that they're doing now, according to Scoops, is that they're going to do a Buried Alive match, which we haven't seen in a while.
Ooh.
That would be cool.
I remember when Undertaker and Brock Lesnar had a burial matchup. Was that at the Great American Bash, I believe, or was that the one where Team 3D kidnapped Heyman?
Punjabi prison.
That I'm not sure, because I wasn't watching then.
I think you just mixed about 5 different matches up, but whatever.
Buried Alive matches are a little bit odd, though. They're cool in concept, but a lot of the time when they're actually doing it, it's a little boring. It's kind of like a Last Man Standing match, where you sort of just wish that they would cut to the end, because when you have somebody dragging somebody up and then they're starting to shovel the dirt and then they get back up again and all that, if they aren't careful, it can get really repetitive and boring. So I'm interested in seeing it, but I actually would rather, instead of a Buried Alive match, I'd rather see a casket match. I don't know if they would really want to do that instead, but seems to be easier. So that's one thing that's positive. Something else to mention in this match that I thought was funny, when Daniel Bryan was driving the forklift, there was a part where Jerry Lawler starts suggesting that instead of like taking him back to the ring or anything like that, he's like, drive him into the wall or another car. It's like,
How about visit a different city?
Like, Jerry Lawler sitting there just like, yeah, fucking kill him. So, cool spots in this match, and hopefully they can follow it up with something as good, if not better, and some other kind of an interesting gimmick instead of just doing what Peyton was saying, like, now we're just going to have a singles match, or now it's going to be 2 out of 3 falls or something like that. They need something with more oomph to it. We have one more thing that we're going to do in this episode, and that's going to be Fantasy League talk, and then that'll knock us out. So stay tuned for the next segment.